Welcome back to Gear Up. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Emily, and today we are here with Taryn Robinson. She is the PR team manager for the Privateer Support Program. She is also MX Sports' new pit reporter, and she is also the press conference host. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you too.
For those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I started in this industry just a few years ago. I grew up in the industry. I have some friends that ride pro now, which has been cool getting to see them grow up and succeed and do great. But I also grew up riding myself. So my dad grew up riding. My grandpa kind of passed down the torch to him, and they passed down the torch to me. But by no means do I race. I do not have any capability of going on a supercross track and riding a bike. I think that would end poorly for everybody. But my interest kind of sparked there, and I filled a position doing some nonprofit work for a while. I did some occasional help with Ted Parks' team TPJ Fly Racing for a while, and then I almost called it quits. We had a falling out with the nonprofit I had worked with, and I was still in school, so I figured I could just call it quits and enjoy, my future. And then I got a call from my current team owner for the Privateer Support Program looking for someone to fill a spot like what I had filled before. And I thought that, you know what, I'll give it one more year, let's see how it goes. And it was phenomenal, a great experience. And so that's been this year. But besides that, I just graduated with a couple different bachelor's degrees in May, which is exciting, but I'll continue my education in the fall. I'd like to be a college professor, but we'll see how that goes. It's very far off from what I currently do in the industry, so I think everyone's a little bit surprised to hear that when I do say that, especially also to hear that I did just graduate. I think people assume that I am older than I am when the reality is I am not. So that's always a little bit of a shocker too. But yeah, I do that at home. I'm local to here. I live in Southern California, so I surf every now and then. I'm back in Huntington Beach. I work with a dog rescue where I got my current bulldog that I have now, which is great. But yeah, I dip my foot into a lot of different waters and try to do a variety and do it all. And it's been a great experience.
And now what do you do as the privateer PR? What does your job consist of?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like the ears and eyes for the team. I manage all of our relationships with our riders. So if a rider is interested in being part of the program, I'm the person that you would contact, and we would go over all of the procedures to be on the team and everything. But as far as race day goes, I'm kind of everywhere all the time. I run around with my head chopped off. I'm usually cooking breakfast. My team manager, Tyler, and I will usually combat meals throughout the day together. But most of the time I'm out on the track. I do all of our social media coverage that's posted on our Instagram, in addition to we're always tagging our riders and everything. And it's coincided with our main sponsor, which is the McGinley Clinic, which is one of the sponsors for the series as well. So they are actually our head sponsor for the team. So everything is coordinated with them as well. And then as far as that, I'm just kind of there for any type of support for the team. I'm helping if, someone has a part that might be broken on their bike or having a clutch problem. I'm running over to the factory team to see if we can get some help, or if someone's willing to, swap us out and do us a favor. I'm kind of everywhere. I do a little bit of everything, and my team owner is actually overseeing the track crew for the Pro Motocross series. So I'm kind of filling in for his void that he's left while he has that responsibility, which is honestly really nice, knowing that he trusts me to take over something like that. But we do have 13 riders right now, so it's definitely a lot to manage and everything.
And what do you guys offer to your, what does your program consist of for the privateer guys?
Yeah, so we're not just a transport service like people I think assume that we are. We do offer transport, whether it be that you leave your bike with us, and we do flight discounts and you can fly to the races. But aside from that, the logistics perspective, we help you with your rental car and your flights and your travel there. All of our sponsors for the team also coincide with the riders. So whether it be FMF and getting a new exhaust for the bike, every rider gets that opportunity. Motorsport.com allows them to, utilize their parts and anything that they may need for their bikes as well. All of the sponsors curate to the riders as well, which is really nice because you can pretty much build a new bike when it comes to everything that we have to offer with the sponsors. But yeah, besides that, it's more, yes, we are labeled as, a transport team, but we really are kind of a big family. It's so much more than just taking your bike. We have a whole setup, if anything happens, they can go to the McGinley Clinic and get treatment from Dr. Joe McGinley, and his wife Diane is a huge help as well. All of that, there's so many more incentives than just taking your bike. Honestly, we're kind of like, we try to be a little factory with our setup and everything, but the reality is, privateers, there's only so much money that can go into their side of the sport, and our mission is to just make sure that they can be there and they have everything that they need.
Offer something.
Exactly, yes, and that we're doing everything we can.
How do the riders become part of the program? Are they having to pay to be part of the program, or how does that work?
Yes, so there is a fee that we charge to be part of the program, but all of that money does go back into the program itself. It's rewired right back in. So whether it be everything we have on the truck, to the food that we cook, to paying our truck driver, whatever that may be, yes. But it still is one of the, if not the lowest in the pits, and still offers more than some of the other transport teams' incentives are. So my team owner has had a plan to make it as affordable as it can be, especially if you're doing the entire series.
Right.
And do you feel that the industry should offer more for the privateers?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I started in this industry as a whole just because I wanted to help and work with the privateers. And when you see it and experience it in real life, you realize how drastic their situation really is, especially for a few that maybe aren't part of a transport team and they're hauling it in the back of their van or in their truck every weekend. It's really hard, and you just feel for them.
Right?
So,
Because they're lining up the
gnarly.
same
exactly.
races,
the
racing
same
this-
efforts there, the same love and determination is there, but the lack of factory support is all that's missing. So you really do wonder how much potential a lot of those riders would have if they had that factory backing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The factory bike, the factory, yes.
But it
all of
probably
it.
adds a little more like family environment, because you guys, they're all in it together. So it's like the grit and the dedication to get there. So I'm sure that part is kind of cool to see everyone come together. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just fun too. Like, especially like Supercross, I had met all of those riders, in person for the first time. But we really did kind of become a little family by the end of the season.
Yeah.
But then a lot of those riders did not stay with us for the outdoor series. So it's that whole, repetition of making those connections and everything again. But it's starting to kind of come together. And yes, you do kind of just feel like a close-knit little family, which is nice. Everyone's got to have something to look forward to on those long weekends.
Sure, absolutely. And you also just started with MX Sports?
Yes. So my colleague Haley Shanley,
We love her.
we love her.
She's awesome.
She is the best. She had prior obligations to this summer and was not prepared to do the entire series as the press conference host and the pit reporter on Fridays. So I was actually approached by Brandon Short, who had asked me if I would be willing to fill in for the races that Haley could not attend. And I thought it was surprising that I was even considered an option for that opportunity, but I thought it was awesome and I took it. So for the races that Haley's not there, I believe she's doing 4 and she has 2 left, and then I'll do the remaining 7. But yeah, I host
Are you
the press
excited?
conferences.
Are you
I am
prepared?
excited. Prepared, yes and no, because there really is no prep that I'm given or supplemented with. It really is my entire own doing. But in that sense, it's kind of nice. I know that I can curate my own questions. I can, curate the entire experience in my own, capabilities, which is a little, freedom. It's nice, but it's nerve-wracking too. And I think it really made me realize that people should be cautious about what they say about people that do speak on TV or in any aspect, because it's a lot more nerve-wracking than it seems like it is, and you really don't know until you try it. And that
For
can be said for
sure.
anything in life. It's
Right.
just, it's an entirely different playbook than you would even imagine. But yeah, it is really exciting, and I do like it a lot, and I'm honestly really grateful for the opportunity and that they trusted me enough to put me in that position. But yeah.
So when's your first one?
My first one was at Fox Raceway
you
for
did?
Paula.
Okay, yes.
I did that. I did Hangtown. I did Thunder Valley. I did Southwick. Haley came back for High Point, which was nice, but it was a crazy race. The weather was absolutely terrible, and I think everyone was a little scared at one point. But Haley will be doing Washougal this weekend, and then I will follow up and do Ironman.
Well, you were off
Yeah, you
last
injured.
weekend, 'cause you took a little
I was
hiatus.
off last weekend. I was
But
supposed to be doing that.
MCL? What did you? How did that happen?
I had a little incident with a tow hitch. And we were loading up some team stuff, and I had turned around, and it was the first time we had even started to unload, and I didn't even realize that the tow hitch was still on, and my knee hit it, it popped and twisted, and I just fell over the other side. I couldn't even put weight on it for maybe 10 minutes. It was just not great.
Do you have to get
but
surgery?
I don't have to get surgery. Apparently, and I'm by no means a doctor, but the Alpine Stars medical team was a huge help when it did happen, as well as the McGinley Clinic. They had both kind of assured me that surgeries with an MCL are pretty rare cases unless you have a full tear and it's a really bad scenario. But luckily, I am not in that position. It's just a partial tear, and it's just kind of a waiting game. I have to rest it. I've got this brace on, which is why my knee has like a
Little lift?
a little lift is a little flat on the top, but it's honestly, it's
Accidents
manageable.
happen in the pit. So that was one question
Exactly.
we asked. And then Jeff
Yes.
got hurt.
Oh, yeah, he did too. Beaver rolled his ankle or
See?
something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It happens even if you're not on a bike, right? Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
you'll be back at Washougal?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So walk us through, I know you have different roles, but walk us through, like, I don't know, maybe a week or race weekend. What are you doing? What's
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
schedule?
Race day specifically, I mean, even like Friday, Saturday. Fridays, usually getting there in like the mid-morning. I get all of the media snacks for the media tent, which is provided for all of our photographers and videographers. I do our team grocery shopping for the privateer support program. And then I usually head back, and if it is one of the races that I'm hosting, I will host the press interviews in the pits right before they ride for press. So it's a little like media corral. I do that with the videographer that follows me around for that. His name is Kyle, but he goes by Pork Chop, and he is a godsend. He's been so helpful, which is so nice. Yeah, Pork Chop is great. But yeah, we do all of those, and then depending on like if it's a combine round or even like women are racing that weekend, later I'll host those same podium interviews for them as well. But usually, just because they're there so rarely, I've only had to do that one time, and I kind of get the rest of the time to do some social media for the team and just kind of wrap up some things that I need. And then Saturday is a much, much busier day, I think, for everybody, but really for me, because that's when both of my roles kind of just start clashing
Press
with each other.
conference, right?
Exactly, yes. Very like crack of dawn, getting up in the morning, getting ready. I'm always at the track by maybe 6:30. It's
What a long day.
It's an earlier day for sure. But my team manager, like my colleague, and I will cook breakfast for the team. Everyone starts to trickle in by 7:30. And then that's when I usually head out on the track and I start doing some social media coverage for the privateer support program, whether it be like Instagram stories, a post, whatever it may be. I'm getting photos and videos of them on the gate before the gate drops or before their line starts. When they're riding by the team manager setup, I'm getting shots of them actually riding. Whatever kind of content I'm getting, I'm just gathering it all together and posting it as I go. And that lasts until the last qualifier because we have 13 riders. We have pretty much at least one rider in every group. So my trek back and forth from where I stand down there to the team rig is very consistent, but we make it work. It's just a quick back and forth and like checking in with the riders that had just raced or practiced and then coming back and taking some more footage. But when opening ceremonies start, around 12:30, that's when I transition all of my bags and my notes and everything to the media tent because now I am technically MX Sports personnel. Yes, because now the main motos, the events have started. So I'm in there taking notes on both motos for 450 and 250 to kind of curate some ideas of what I want to talk about in the press conference later that night. So during that time, after every round is over or every moto is over, I'm going back to our rig for the privateer support program and checking in with whatever riders may have qualified for that race and just making sure everything's okay and running smoothly. And then I'm running back to the media tent, doing more notes, getting that prepped.
Girl, you're making me tired. I'm a
So
little bit.
6
I'm
to
like
10?
in my head watching you go back and forth like, okay.
Yes.
I really am the epitome of like running around with my head chopped off, but it works. I mean, I haven't had it be a conflict of interest yet.
Is it fun?
so
It's got to be
worked.
fun too.
It is fun, but it is a lot. I'm
bet.
totally exhausted by the time that the
After,
press
just
conference
drains.
comes.
Yeah.
And then there's the press conference, which is usually about 30 minutes after the second moto, their last moto, I guess you could say. And that lasts usually I don't know, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It depends on the day and what the situation is. But by that point, we wrap it up. I kind of wait for things to blow over, and then I can finish up some team stuff, and then I'm able to head back. So it really does, just at the time that I'm at the track, end up being like a 12, 13-hour day, which is long. But I mean, that's the reality for anyone that's there.
Yeah.
It's a long day for everybody. It's
And
crazy,
the press conferences have to get juicy sometimes, right?
It depends
Pretty
on
good?
the situation.
I'm like, Deegan, bringing it.
Yes. And technically representing MX Sports, I have to be careful with the questions that I ask and what I say, not only out of, my job security, but out of respect for whoever I may be talking with as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's usually never worth whatever negative interaction you might be facing, so it's better to just play it safe. And some people don't like that because they think that it's boring, but at the same time, I would rather have a little bit more of a boring question that still respects who I'm talking to than to stir the pot of something that I shouldn't even be stirring. So there are definitely some juicy questions that pop up, though. They are usually not from me. We'll have a media guest, whether it be someone that talks on a podcast or one of our photographers or videographers, will be there and usually will be the one to say something that kind of stirs the pot a little bit, but it's never been too crazy. So we've had it managed, but there's always at least one thing that kind of gets everyone going a little bit, especially last weekend, seeing that Jeremy Martin had his beer, sitting on the, on the little podium setup we had, which was rad. So I wish I could have been there to talk to him and just to see that in real life. But yeah, it gets a little juicy every now and then.
Fun.
Do you feel like the privateer get enough recognition, or they could get more? Or
I definitely think they could get more.
yeah.
And I say that with a grain of salt because not everyone puts in the amount of effort and dedication that the entirety of privateers do. There are some that definitely are just there to have fun, which is completely okay. By no means am I shading that. But for some of them that really do put their blood, sweat, and tears into establishing a program and a name for themselves just to really not ever get recognition is just sad. They put in
need
the
some
same
love,
they need some love. And they put the same amount of, grit and determination that everybody else is when they line up on that gate. So I just never fully understood why they didn't get that recognition, but it's all political anyways when it comes down to who you're riding for and what kind of support you have. So at the end of the day, I think most of them are aware and okay with that, which is why they still show up. It's why we still have competition, right?
Yeah.
And do you think something could change to change that? Like,
I would like to think so.
what would you think?
I don't even know where to start, honestly. I think that a lot of it really does cater to the celebrity status that a lot of these factory riders have, which is understandable given their results and their success. But at the end of the day, several privateer riders have that same status when it comes to Instagram or a TikTok following.
Brands or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Whatever affiliation they may have that's bringing them up on the pedestal a little bit. So if it really is, if people's argument is that it really is political, then I don't see why they aren't on that, bench with them. It's just, I don't know. So honestly, I would like to see some change with that because they do deserve more recognition than they get. But I think the reality is they're probably not going to get it. And it's sad, but I think they've just kind of decided that it's okay. And that they just have to keep on doing what they love and trying to put their name out there, which a lot of them still do.
Because they love the sport.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I think that's why all of us are still here.
Yes.
What's like a good underdog moment you've witnessed with the privateer program?
Honestly, one of them that was just very, it kind of sits in my head still is during the Supercross season. I can't even remember which race it was, but it was in the beginning of the season. And I was on the track watching the 450 LCQ, and Tristan Lane, one of our riders at the time, was out there, and he had placed in the top 4 to get that transition spot into the main event. And I had my phone ready to film, and I'm filming, but it's just me getting teary-eyed, and it's his mechanic hugging him, and Tristan's getting teary-eyed, and everyone's hugging. It's just this very emotional moment because the reality is a lot of those privateer guys do not make it to the main event because there's just so much competition and so few spots.
And those factory bikes, man.
Yes.
It's the
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but
No.
same
Big
thing.
difference.
Exactly, that it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
But that was great, and then I witnessed that same situation with Scott Meshy and his fiance / mechanic. She kind of does everything for him.
Oh, wow.
Ashley,
Dang.
I know she's doing a lot. It's really cool to witness, but especially as a female in the field, it's really cool to see her doing that. But same thing, he made his first main event. That was in Arlington, and that was a big deal for the program as well as for him and Ashley to be able to celebrate that. And I got their little moment on my phone, and it feels great to not only capture that and be able to look back on it in the future, but to witness it firsthand too. It makes it exactly. You're
absolutely
part of it. It's a little family.
Do you have a favorite rider?
As far as like a factory rider, I was always a really big Ken Roxon fan. He was like
Okay.
my go-to when I was a kid. I even got one of his quotes when he recovered from his accident that happened at Anaheim several years ago. He had posted his recovery update and quoted a little line on there, and I got it embroidered on my varsity Letterman jacket when I was in high school. It said, sometimes you get tested in life, so you take care of it, come back and try again. And then the following year when he had made his comeback, I think he placed 4th in the race or something that was just a phenomenal comeback given his situation. But he stood to be like a very pivotal person that I looked up to, especially at a time where I was playing, high school sports and trying to, better myself in any way, and he was a great example
He is
of how
very
to do
positive,
that.
and when he gets knocked down, he comes back. Yes,
Exactly,
I agree.
which is always nice too in any aspect for
Yes.
any writer. If you have that positive comeback and that positive outlook on whatever your situation may be, it's probably going to end up working out better for you. But
Absolutely.
What would like shock the fans with the divide between privateer and factory? Like something they don't see behind the scenes that would maybe shocking to them.
I mean, realistically, if you don't have a pit pass and you're not walking through, you don't see what some of those guys have as their setup versus a factory setup. I mean, like a factory setup, you're going to have the semi. Some of them even have a separate hospitality semi versus their normal, everything that's hauling their bikes and an office in there. They cook,
Motorhomes.
Exactly. Motorhomes. They cook meals. They have all of their, as many tools and parts that you could account for. They have a lot more support in a sense. And then some of the privateer guys that you see in the very back of the paddock are grilling, up a meal on the back of their,
Crazy.
It's
truck,
almost like
and it's just-
amateur style at
Yes.
the at a pro level.
Exactly. That's what you could definitely compare it
That's
to.
what it reminds me of when you go to
it's
the
kind of
back
Like
of
a
the
canopy,
pit.
Yeah.
one canopy
Yes,
and a back.
exactly.
They're little,
Yeah. Do they have?
Yes.
Are they like
put 'em in the
separated too?
back.
Like they're not even.
To a point, they don't like separate them to where they're super far from everybody else, but
they're in the
every yes, you can see how it's kind of molded. You have, the factory teams, and it's all by manufacturer as well.
Yeah.
So you have all the Yamaha together, all the Suzuki together, whatever that may be, and then it kind of trickles into teams like ours where we're not factory, but we have a setup and, a support for more than one rider. And then it trickles into the solo riders. Yes. So it's not a separate but equal situation because they're really not separate. It's just the way that
But you
the
can
entire
see it as
paddock-
like
they're
fans.
you can tell
segregated,
it's a big difference. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it sucks.
man.
It absolutely sucks.
Yeah. So definitely the setup situation. Because if you don't have a pit pass, which especially for Supercross, you had to pay for it. So
Yeah,
not
so the
everyone was doing
privateers
that.
have to pay for a pit pass? Like,
They do have to pay for their own credentials, as do everybody. So then that too, with how expensive it is, just kind of sad to see.
Why do they have?
yeah, what?
I don't.
Everyone does. I
So,
don't know.
That's like paying a gate fee.
Okay, this is a great point. So us amateur moms here, we go to a race, okay? Say our kid's racing, I don't know, a qualifier.
Yeah.
We have to pay an entry fee for me, husband, and the rider. And I'm like, what are we paying a spectator fee for the
For a
rider?
race.
We're paying for his entry
that's
fee, his
Similar.
It's
like,
pretty much the same
it's
scenario. Yes.
like, what
But aren't they? You're already. Is there an entry fee to race too? Or-
Yes.
Okay.
There are entry fees to race.
So you have to pay that, and then you have to pay a
Yes,
credential.
Yes.
So it's
And
the same
They do
thing.
offer what they call a hard card, and it's literally an ID.
Yeah.
You can pay for that for the whole season. Everyone has to pay for that. I don't know what exactly it costs right now, but every rider has to pay
That's
for
not
that.
included in there. Like even the
No.
factory guys have to pay.
It might be a separate scenario for the factory guys,
bet.
but
Yeah.
to my knowledge, I think everybody's paying for them. Or
Who's in charge of that? The MX Sports
that's
or the
MX Sports, and then for Supercross, it's
Shocking.
Feld.
This is
so they have
wild.
their will call girls that print all of those out for weeks before it starts and
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, they're
What
in
does
charge
something
of
like
all
that
that.
cost?
I know that for Supercross, I believe it was $700 or $800 for the season, and that included access into the pits and access to have a seat to watch, that whole thing. And then same thing for outdoors. I don't know if it was the same price and if that was reflected the same, but it basically just includes your admission. And then when, the Fan Fest time cuts off and they kick everybody out, you're allowed to stay because you have like an industry granted ID versus someone having like a pit pass of a wristband because
This
they
is wild.
Oh,
dropped
you're allowed
off
to
their
stay?
monster can
Like you're
or
allowed to stay and
anything.
race? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like wild.
Yeah.
I don't
get that.
understand.
Like
It's got to change. Like what?
And it is too.
What do you think would
especially,
help
like,
change? Like the writers sticking together and like banding together?
I
and-
mean, yeah, it's not like, teachers or nurses where they have a union and they can,
They need one.
stand
Yeah.
up for themselves or advocate for themselves. But I mean, yes, realistically, or I guess hypothetically, because I really don't know what the factory situation is, they probably get an allotment of how many they can have just because of how much money they're bringing
For
into
sure.
the sport. But, I've never seen a privateer have that same access, which is understandable given the difference. But I don't think that difference should really be as,
As big as
prominent
it
as it
is.
is. Yes.
Yeah.
for sure.
So, yeah, if they want their family members coming, or for example, if they have a mechanic, they're paying for their mechanic's hard card for the entire season as well. And then if their family comes every weekend, same thing. It's another hard card. So
Damn,
depending
so it
on
doesn't change.
that's probably why a lot of them can't travel and can't go watch.
too.
And they end up quitting
That's so
because
sad.
exactly. And it doesn't help that, for example, with outdoors, we start on the West Coast. We have a couple here. We transition over to the East
Yeah.
Coast. We're over there, and then we're in the Midwest
that's
for
why
a while.
some just do one or the other.
Exactly. But then, this weekend we jump back to Washougal
Yeah.
after we've already been on the East Coast, and then we jump back to the East Coast
That is
again.
weird. Why?
So it is a little. I'm sure that there's a reasonable
reason.
explanation for that. But yeah,
but logistically, that does not make sense.
it does not
Like,
make
why would
sense.
we
And
come
even
back?
with Supercross, they
But it
jump
must
back and
be a
forth as well.
reason
Yeah,
why. Yes,
I'm
there
sure
has
there's a
to be.
reason.
But it's unfortunate for those privateer riders that are driving in their vans, the 40+ hours.
Paying their
just in one
gas, their
week.
own mechanic, their
Exactly.
food, their it's wild.
It's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot.
It's very sad.
How much would it cost to have like a good actual how much would it cost for a good a program for a privateer? Like how much? Okay, stop. Brain fart.
You're funny.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. What would be the cost for a decent privateer program per rider?
Per rider, I mean, most in the pits are charging $6 to $8 grand for the season minimum, and most of the time that is just transport. They're not offering really any other incentives to be part of it, and that's like the very bottom line. Most of them, I know Rock River is a very different situation. You're paying more to be on that team versus you have a separate situation like a factory team that's paying you to be there. So
That's wild. They have to pay
Yes.
to be.
but then, I mean, even as a whole, motocross in general, whether it be Supercross or pro motocross, that we don't have a lot of money. There's really
Yeah.
not a lot of money in the sport. So as much as, my team owner, for example, wanted to make it completely free for any rider to be part of the program,
they
it's just
can't.
not
Not
financially
feasible. Yeah.
possible. Yeah. So
Well,
it's-
somebody's making money.
I was just going to say that.
Someone
It's
is making a
definitely
lot of
going
money.
somewhere.
That's so sad. You said you had 13 riders on the team.
Yes, we do.
Do any of them work during the week? Or
Almost
have,
all of them
They
do.
all
Just-
have 9 to 5s.
Yes.
Wow.
Like a couple of them work for their families' companies.
Yeah.
A couple of them do their own independent contractor situation. There's a handful. And then one of
very
our Supercross
sad.
guys, actually, Gerhard Matamoros, owns his own restaurant in Florida, which is pretty cool. So he does that when he's not at the races for Supercross. So everyone kind of has some big obligation to bring in that financial income when they're not at
They
the
have
races.
to,
They
because-
have to.
And then that's like less training for them to do during the week and practice. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Their
actually
bikes
crazy.
are
But then-
maintenance themselves.
Exactly. But then with that being said, when factory riders go home on Sunday and have a few days to rest and practice, your privateer riders are going
driving.
back and they're working or they're trying
They're
to
not
make
resting.
some incentive to be able to go and ride the next weekend. Yes.
And then they have to pay to get there.
It's a lot. It adds up to be a lot.
Wow.
And really with no return.
I'm kind of wondering what would happen if there wasn't privateer programs for these people. They just wouldn't be able to race. They quit.
Honestly, that's hard because the reality is, even as a whole, not having privateers limits and suppresses any competition because
They're filling the gates.
they're filling exactly.
Yeah.
And there are still some even for Supercross that do make it into the main event. So they're filling spots. So realistically, as a
need 'em.
whole, if we didn't have them, there'd be no competition and there wouldn't be a race.
Right.
But then, as far as your question, honestly, like it's hard because the same thing applies. Like financials are really hard in a situation like that where you're really not having much return on your investment. So a lot of these guys I know probably regularly question why they're still doing it, but then they love it. They love
It's
it.
the
and
weirdest
it's worth
sport,
it.
right? They love it. It's like
It's
in
one of the
them.
only pro sports that really doesn't reward their athletes as much as others do.
They're injured. They're racing.
And they're putting their
injured.
bodies
Yes.
on the line.
Yes.
Literally.
Because it's really the only sport that these guys are going out
Yeah.
broken off, and they're
Yeah.
still lining up at the gate. Like they're
Crazy.
almost taught that. Like,
Yeah,
oh, you have
and
a
they're
broken
not
pinky?
They're not
Race.
afraid to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
yeah,
It's definitely one of
seriously.
the most dangerous sports.
Yes.
They
Gnarly
should get
as
It
ever.
paid
requires a
for-
lot, and like your physical endurance and your
Yeah.
capabilities have to be much stronger than a lot of
And
other
your
sports
mind.
require as well. Yes.
What's the most broke thing you've seen a privateer do to make it to the gate?
A lot of times, if they have something on their bike that may not be functioning or may not be working, if their clutch is giving out, if they have an exhaust problem, they will still ride.
Wow.
They still line up on that gate and they're willing to take the sacrifice, whether it be a potential injury or their bike breaking down and having an engine blow up and having to, have a do not finish situation. They're still willing to go out there.
Because they're putting everything on the line to be
Exactly.
there.
And they don't have a backup solution or, for example, factory support that just has an engine ready in case anything happens.
Right.
So they're willing to sacrifice it because if it doesn't, for example, if an engine doesn't blow up,
Yeah.
they raced and they got whatever money they might have, won from their placement. So yeah, most of the time, if they have something that may not be
just
working on their
send it.
bike, they'll still go.
They don't
How
quit.
accessible are the parts for them?
Not nearly
Yeah.
as easy as the factory guys have it. Like for example, we have some capabilities within the team given our sponsors,
Yeah.
but we don't keep them on the truck. It's more of like if it happens at the race, we will ship it to you and you can handle it during the week. Occasionally they will also bring spare parts for situations like that. I mean, no one's got an extra engine lying around, but they'll have, their couple clutch levers ready to go in case anything happens or just
Breaks or
something.
something.
Exactly. But not even our guys specifically, not even all of them bring stuff like that. It's more of a risk that they're willing to take. And I'm sure the same could be said for the guys that don't have a transport team situation lined up. There's nowhere to keep it. There's not as much financial, backing for that type of, plan B. But yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah.
Horrible.
Parts are expensive too.
Parts,
Jeez.
exactly.
It's a huge expense. Okay. Is there who's the most laid back rider on the team?
On my team right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want to say like Max Darling, who's one of our 250 riders, he's very laid back. He kind of just goes with the flow. He puts in the effort. His dad is his mechanic, so he's there kind of helping him every weekend. And they show up, and when things might not go to plan, he did have clutch problems in a prior race at Southwick, and he had to pull off, and they were still smiling. They were still willing to go out there and try again. They come for the ride, they come for the effort, and if they don't do as well as they expected they were going to do, the same smile is still on their face at the end of the day. So
That's cool.
I think he's definitely one of our most laid back because regardless of what happens, he just seems to be going with the flow and is just there for the ride. So,
Showing
which
the
is always
moment.
nice to see too.
Yeah.
So are you dating anybody?
Not right now. I had have dated someone prior in the industry. And
Okay.
Moto, yes. And I won't name
A writer?
who it was. A writer, yes.
get it?
It didn't end as well as I thought it was going to, but I wish him the best, truly. I wouldn't wish ill upon anybody, and he's one of them. I hope he's doing great. But honestly, it's hard, especially because I worry that anything I may say or do when it comes to, getting into a relationship like that would ruin or, kind of paint my reputation in the industry as something that it's really not. Because the reality is, it is clearly a male-dominated sport. I am one of very few women that has had an opportunity to have a platform and a say in what happens there. And I think people already assume that I'm there for the wrong reasons, or that I'm there
Or
with
how
an
you
ill
got
intent,
there,
or
whatever.
how I got
Yes.
there, exactly. And so I think part of me kind of subconsciously worries about, at least with the industry specifically, getting involved in any aspect and kind of like painting my image differently than it really may be. But then, I mean, even at home, like I'm just never home, working in that
travel.
industry, fly out Thursday, come back Sunday, maybe an occasional Wednesday. It's a long week.
With men, so if you have a guy that's not in it,
It's
gonna
hard
be
to
like,
explain that to someone.
I'm
And
hanging out
granted-
with all these men.
Exactly. And granted, if someone were to have a problem with that, it's probably someone that
Red
is
flag.
insecure.
Yes,
it's a red
for
flag.
sure.
But at the same time, I kind of can't blame them. I think part of me would also be a little standoffish with it because I'm surrounded by male athletes
Yeah,
all the time.
for sure.
I meet very few women, and most of them are PR girls like me, or like my colleague Haley, or someone that has, more of a platform, but that's still minimal. So, I mean, it's kind of just a little bit risky in a sense, but I know that women have done that before, and that's fine. Like, that's their choice.
Yeah.
But it hasn't always worked out super well for them. And I think I just don't want to put myself in a position that I may be like them.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, like, I came here to work and I want to work.
Right.
Yeah.
And if that might be ruined because I'm attempting to pursue a relationship in the industry specifically, that just terrifies
Or
me.
if it doesn't work out and then they're saying
Then you have to
stuff.
see your
that-
ex
exactly.
every week.
Yeah, or they're
Exactly.
saying stuff you've told them.
Adding on to that, being a female in the industry and it being your career, do you find any I don't know, what's the word? Wait, what was I trying to say?
Animosity? Conflict?
Or no, fuck, hold on. Let me redo that.
Actually put that in there.
Fuck, my brain. I'm so
you're
hungry.
fine. You're fine. I know. I'm like, I literally
What was I
left my
trying to
house
like?
at like 4
Discrimination.
and have been
Okay,
at
that was the
Jerry's,
word.
so I'm like,
Sorry.
No, you're
Okay, so adding on to that, being a female in the industry and it being your career, do you find any discrimination, or you get treated differently, or?
yes and no. I think that the discrimination, if there is any, is very subtle, and whoever is portraying that to me masks it well enough to where I just kind of brush it off my shoulder. But I mean, for example, like when I first started hosting the press conference, when my first one was at Fox Raceway, I could tell the second that I sat down, I had a lot of stares in the room, and that simply could have been curiosity. Just, I was a new face. I really didn't know a lot of the media personnel, but I could tell that part of it was also probably, why do we have a female, in here? Which I understand to the point where people really do paint motocross as a sport to be a male sole sport. But the reality is it's not. I mean, even my colleague Haley, she rides and has raced before. And the same can be said for me. I'm not going in blind. I don't, I think people kind of assume oh, she's blonde, she's young, she's a woman.
She doesn't
She has no
know.
idea what she's talking about. Well, my blonde hair is fake. And
Women are smart.
Exactly. I went to college. I'm well equipped for life. But in addition to that, I grew up riding.
rode a dirt bike.
So, I mean, even though, being on the stand sometimes it might sound like I'm asking something that anybody could ask, but that's nerve-wracking too. So it really does depend on the situation.
Right.
But I do think certain people, especially fans, treat me very differently than my male counterpart, especially when my face is blasted all over the pro motocross social media. The comments are never the same as they would be if a male was, reporting on camera and talking to one of the riders. So they're not always negative, but they're usually stereotypical and not even close to the same as what you would see on some of the other reporters' comments.
How are the women towards you? Like the wives and the...
At least the ones I've met have been absolutely amazing, especially the other PR girls that I've met, you know, down in the pits, you know, on the track, talking with the riders. They've all been great. Like the 2-star girls, Courtney and Ashley have been awesome. They're so great.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
They're both such nice people.
Yeah.
And especially I had met them right when I had started with this new position as well. So it was really nice getting to meet Courtney and having her kind of fill me in on, you know, tips and tricks that she had learned. And then
that's cool.
I made friends with the Kawasaki PR girls as well, Megan and Rachel, and they have a new like little intern that they've had recently too, and she's really nice. And everyone's been really nice. I haven't had a bad experience with any females in the industry yet, but I have with men. So I think it's, you know, it's just a little bit ironic because they think that we are the problem in the sport, but at least from my perspective and my experience, I haven't had a problem with any women yet. Everyone's been great. I mean, even the MX Sports personnel, you know, Kelly and her daughter Allison and Paula and Amanda and all of them in there are amazing, and they are such a big help. And Stephanie Starling and her husband John that work for AMA, they have been like my parents at the track. They are absolutely amazing. So honestly, everyone that I've met has given me every more reason to just want to keep working and loving it. Yeah.
That's good. It always helps when it's a good experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you getting are the fans sliding in the DMs? What's going on in your DMs?
Of course.
They're like, hey, girl.
That only happened, though. I had interviewed Lance Kobush after he had taken the lead over Hayden Deegan in the 250 second moto at Haintown. And I interviewed him at Thunder Valley. And that video, when it was posted on the Pro Motocross page, just went viral almost immediately. And that was when I started seeing all of the DMs kind of flood and all the, you know, random followers that I had gained. And I knew it was from that because all the comments on that post and everything, it was just so obvious. But some of them are wild. Some of them are definitely like, wow, you typed this, thought about it, and still sent it. And it's not even negative. It's just kind of like, oh, wow, you...
Yeah, that's what you wanted to ask?
Yeah, that's what you said? Okay. But it's a little bit entertaining too every now and then. So, yeah.
What's your favorite race that you've worked?
So far, like this season specifically?
Just in general, like your favorite?
Honestly, I think partly because it's a hometown race and partly because there's just so many fans. Anaheim 1 and Anaheim 2 are always really fun, and they're always sold out. So you get all of these fans from, you know, all over California, all over wherever they might have come from, just stoked to watch Supercross. And that's just such an enlightening experience to see everyone come together for something like that. But I just like it because of how exciting it is, especially A1. It's the kickoff and everything's a little bit more heightened than it usually is. But as far as outdoors, it's hard because like you're usually in the middle of nowhere, but the tracks are more exciting. So it's always like a hit or a miss, but I've always liked Redbud. It's just the fans there are so entertaining, honestly, and you can't go 5 steps without hearing
American.
or seeing something. Exactly. If anything screams I'm an American citizen, I feel like it's that race.
Everyone
right there.
always says that's their favorite.
It's just it's exciting. It's definitely an exciting race.
Looks fun. If you ever, I mean, when you get a chance to eat during the day, what is your favorite like go-to pit snack or meal?
Yeah, absolutely. So fun fact, and I've been shamed by my colleagues multiple about this. I usually do not eat all of race day.
Oh,
wow.
I do not eat breakfast before I leave. I do not eat lunch with the media team or my team. I totally raw dog it and do not eat all
why
day.
though?
Like
Part of it, I think, is I'm stressed. Like I'm totally running around with so many responsibilities that it doesn't even cross my mind. But then when the time comes that I have like a 5-minute break, eating is not what's on my mind.
Right,
Like it's
for
not,
sure.
it doesn't even sound appealing at that point because I've just been so stressed. But don't get me wrong, I drink plenty of water. I've got my water bottle
Don't
with
be
me all the
fainting
time.
on us, girl.
Seriously. But when it does happen, like I usually have like an energy bar on me. I'm kind of cautious about which ones it'll be just because I'm not a fan of like the artificial, you know, stuff that they put into there. So I try to be picky with it. But if anything, it's still a rare scenario, but I'll like eat one of those during the day, but I'm still not having a meal. But I'm apparently not the only one that does that. I've heard that other people that
A lot of
work there
riders do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
And it might help them more in their, you know, not feeling like you might, you know, throw it back up later or
Go to the
whatever it
restroom
may
or
be.
something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Moto was gone tomorrow, what would you do?
Honestly, because I didn't plan to do this
Yeah.
for a long time career, I would stick with what I'm currently doing. I'd finish out my schooling. I'd go attempt to get like a teaching position at a high school or a college. Because
What do you wanna
realistically,
teach?
I'd like to teach English.
Oh.
I'm a big writer, so that's like, I guess you could say like one of my guilty pleasures. When I feel like I might be stressed or I'm overthinking or whatever it may be, I write. I have several like big journals that just have so many things in there. But I was also an English major in school, so it's a little bit fitting to my situation. But honestly, I would stick with that plan and just keep doing what I'm doing, because it was almost like a tree. Like my original branch was always going to be to go the education route, and then all this motocross stuff happened and it grew a new branch for me, but it wasn't always my plan.
Yeah.
But I have reconsidered my future and my opportunities a lot, especially not knowing where it might take me or what I'm going to be feeling like tomorrow. So my future in my own hands, at least, is super up in the air, because I don't know if maybe I should be rerouting my plans and stay here and try to get something more out of it. But at the same time, I think there's always a difference between passion and purpose, and I think I need to kind of figure out which of those two it really is.
Ever cried behind your sunglasses at the track?
Yes. But they were, honestly, one of them, it wasn't even my sunglasses. It was when Jerry crashed. I didn't have sunglasses on, and I just, for the first maybe 10 minutes that his mechanic, Matt, and I were standing by trying to figure out what was going on, I just had no emotion at all. But the second that they took him away and loaded him in an ambulance, I had to go back to my team rig and kind of explain what was going on. And I spent maybe an hour in the back just crying, because it was so traumatizing to experience, especially like I can't even imagine what it really felt like for his wife, Jen, and for his mechanic, Matt, who's also one of his closest friends, to witness firsthand. And then just to not even know what the outcome could have been. So that was like a sad cry that I had. But I always tear up with happy tears whenever I see one of our riders do really well or get what they want out of a race, because that's our whole purpose. We want to be there for them and help them grow to how, whatever that may entail for them. So when I see them actually, succeeding and, getting that last, LCQ transfer spot, like that's kind of an exciting moment for me too. So, yeah.
Okay, so coffee or cocktail?
It depends on what time of the day it is. But honestly, I will say, like, I am more of a cocktail person over like beer or wine or anything. I'm just not a fan of that. But I also don't drink coffee as much as I do, and I don't drink that much either. But honestly, like, at least to wake me up, I'm probably going to be reaching for coffee. I don't think I'm one in the line of, pouring over an old fashioned at 7 a.m. But
Bloody Mary.
It really depends.
Oh, shit, that's funny.
If you ran the races, what's the first rule you'd change?
At least one that annoys me personally. I don't know why fans think that they can bring air horns and disrupt everyone's well-being throughout the day for outdoors. It is so annoying to hear. And if I'm annoyed by it and I'm just, at the team manager, setup trying to film, I can't even imagine what the riders feel like. But then the reality is some of them probably don't even hear it and they've, kind of
tuned it out.
Exactly, tuned it out. But then others, like there's got to be a few of them that hear that all the time and think, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. So I think that's super annoying. I would be like, no.
So no air horns.
No air horns. It's so annoying. Yeah, that's
like
like
when
the first,
the
like,
dads have like the yellow towels and they're like this when like, going around.
It's like about
it looks like
smacking
a,
people.
but it also looks
Yes.
like it could be a yellow flag if you're not like
exactly.
And then like
that's the color
Like, go
towel
flag.
you chose to bring today. Yes. Like you don't have a track
why?
crew shirt
And or
on.
pick
Why
a
are you doing
different
this?
color. I don't know.
Like there
Weird.
are minimum 7 colors in the
Yes.
rainbow. You have so many other options
So
besides that, and you
stupid.
chose the one that the flag is. Yeah.
Okay. Biggest ick in a guy.
Honestly, and I hate saying this because there's always probably a situation for this. If you don't have a job,
Oh,
and
you don't
I
want no
say that
scrub.
with a, yes, but I say that with a grain of salt in the sense that there are some situations where you might be going through a lot and you can't. But I think just knowing myself, like I stack my plate super high. I work multiple jobs, not even just at the races, but at home. And I make it work. So I kind of just, it's hard for me to want to date someone that can't make it work or isn't willing to make it work.
Get to
Yes.
my level.
Yes. Or then in the same aspect, I guess, like any plan. Okay, you don't have a job, that's totally fine. We all go through situations
Right.
like that. But then what are you doing? Are you doing anything to prepare
Better
or
yourself.
better yourself?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then there might be an alternative to that. Like, oh, I have an intern position, or oh, I'm a professional, I'm trying to train to be a, professional dirt bike rider. There's always
I'm a privateer.
exactly. There's always a reason. But see,
a
like
job
even
that
that, I
doesn't
would
pay.
consider that to still, it
No.
doesn't pay, but I would still consider like, okay,
At least
you're
you're doing
doing
something.
something.
Yeah.
Yes. So that always kind of gave me, and there's nothing wrong with it, but
Yeah.
I just, knowing me, I just couldn't date someone that couldn't even at the lowest point match what I currently have going
Yeah,
to.
for sure.
Level up.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's one thing that we could always catch in your bag at the track?
There's a couple. I recently have been sponsored by Insta360, so I could get some behind the scenes for the series and for Track Crew. That is always like in my go reach bag. It is right there in case I see a moment that I might be, wanting to catch or anything. But right on top of there are my 2 different shirts because I've got to change shirts throughout the day.
And you've got 2?
Exactly, yes. So, I'm wearing one, I've got the other in my bag. That's always right there on top. But yeah, honestly, those are like my 2. And I've always got my water bottle with me and my little notepad.
No food.
No food, yeah. Not really coming as prepared as I should be, but yeah.
Just a cocktail.
Yes. In a little cup. No one can see it, so,
That's funny.
That's why you tripped and hurt your.
Yes. So actually, that might have been why.
Imagine that'd be funny. What would be a toxic trait that you have?
I
you have any.
tend to overthink a lot.
Yeah.
And that could honestly stem from a lot of reasons. I have not managed to have a successful relationship in all the ones that I have been in. There's always been something very detrimental that has been the reason it has ended. So I overthink everything in every aspect just because of how those situations as well as prior friendships have turned out for me. But it causes problems because then I make assumptions when I shouldn't, and it always leads to maybe a potential argument or something that no one wants to have.
Yeah.
And I know okay, I should have just communicated, and gone over this, better than I did. But I tell that to myself and I still don't do it. So as much as I am trying
Yeah.
to be better, it's like that
I feel like that's
block in my mind that doesn't let me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's a female thing. We all
Yeah.
overthink.
definitely is. Yeah.
And what's one word to describe, that you would use to describe yourself?
Honestly, I would say committed or dedicated, just because despite everything that I do put on my plate, I don't prioritize one over the other ever. I make it all work. I try to be there for everybody. I want a little bit of everything. So when that means sacrificing, a relationship, sacrificing my social life at home, free time, sleep, I'm willing to do that because I want to do well for our program. I want to do well at the press conferences, at my job at home. I want to be the best version of myself. So I'm willing to sacrifice, sleep and a social life and,
Yeah.
Seeing my friends. And that's actually kind of a mockery my friend group has made of me because I never see them. And when I say never, I mean the last time that I really sat with all of them together was Christmas, and it's July.
You're busy.
So I'm just super busy. So I would say committed or dedicated is definitely up there because it's just all I do. I kind of bleed everything that I have into whatever it is that I'm committed to until I'm just dry and tired and done.
Aw.
And then the week starts over again.
But you're
and then
young and
Yeah,
you got to
you're
live it up.
Yeah, that is true.
You can get some boring
But
job
then at the
later.
same time, it's yes, but then, at the same time, it's okay, with how young I am, should I really feel like I'm burned out?
No.
You could be an English teacher later.
Yeah. Right
Not that it's boring.
down there, yeah. I don't know how much more exciting that really is, but yeah.
I'm done with mine.
Okay, we'll do one more. Morning person or night owl?
Definitely a night owl.
Okay.
Oh,
Despite needing to wake up early, I do not like waking up at 5:30 or whenever
Yeah.
I need to wake up. I would rather sleep until 8:30 or 9 and
stay up later.
and stay up later. Yes, I feel like I get a little bit more of that energy burst when the time comes for dinner and everyone's wanting to eat, read, go to bed or whatever, and I'm not ready to do that yet. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think I'm good.
We want to thank you so much for being here. You are awesome.
Yeah, I love you guys. This was
Yes.
great. I'm super excited that you guys reached out and I could be a part of your new podcast.
We're
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing you on camera and
Yeah, the press
stay
conference.
safe.
I know. Yeah, little knee break. But yeah, I'll make sure to give a wave. Yeah.
Yeah, the press conference.
Yeah, you'll have to come and join.
Oh.
Hey.
We'll have to save up for our credentials.
Yeah, we have to get our
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for coming. It was so nice meeting you.
Thank you guys. It was
Yes,
great
thank
meeting
you.
you as well. I appreciate it.